So you have to believe in the process. You have to believe that you can live outside and exist outside of Southeast Asia as an athlete.
There's a bigger stage.
There's a bigger stage.
Sure.
So you can never get that elusive medal if you don't dream to live outside of that bubble.
Hello guys, Usap Usap University here, and right now I'm here with the coach consultant of the Philippine track and field, and we're so lucky to have Sir Rohsaan. But for formality, sir, could you please introduce yourself to us?
Yes, my name is Rohsaan Griffin. I'm a consultant for the Philippine athletic track and field team.
All right, and sir, we're just so curious because we have seen you in the sidelines during the events, and some of our fans are actually wondering like, what are these foreign, quote-unquote, consultants doing in the Philippines? So maybe you can tell us something about your contribution and your specific task for the team.
Initially, I came here to prepare the team for the 2017 SEA Games in Kuala Lumpur, and had some success. And the next thing on the agenda was the Asian Games in 2018, and had some success there. And then the next thing you know, the Philippines is hosting the SEA Games in 2019, and I'm still here.
Okay, so what do you do exactly, sir? For our casual fans of track, like, what do you do exactly, and how do you prep up, these Filipino athletes for the games?
I mean, mainly outside of evaluation and talent identification, you try to show the coaches the best practices. You bring in other consultants and put on clinics, and just try to raise the level of professionalism across the board as far as the athletes and the coaching prowess and things of those natures are concerned.
Right. And coach, of course, you also competed before, coming over here when you were in university?
Yes, I competed in university. I was the NCAA champion, NCAA champion. Of course, you have that same system here in the U.S. And I was also an American champion, a former American record holder.
Okay.
I ran professionally for a few years, so I did a few things.
What do you see as a difference? Like basically with what we have the sprinters here in the Philippines and in America?
I mean, it's different because kids in America are exposed to different sports throughout the year.
Yeah.
Where athletes here, I think, tend to try to specialize too early and don't get a broad spectrum. They're not introduced to multiple disciplines of different sports.
Yeah.
So when you set yourself on that path, one or two things can happen. Some kids may take off and do well. Some kids might digress. Some kids may get injured. So I see a high amount of injuries here. I see a high amount of kids that progress on the elementary and grassroots levels but don't pan out at the elite levels. So you see a wide range of things that happen. Not particularly only in the Philippines, it's an Asian dynamic. It happens in Asia in general.
I see. And because you mentioned about Asia in general, so you also had, we've heard, and we've researched, of course, about this, and you had your experience of like teaching and coaching as well in China and other countries?
Yes, I was in China previous to this. I worked at an elite athlete training facility in the United States as well before this.
Yeah.
I was a university coach in the United States before this. So you learn a lot of things along the way.
Yeah.
I tell every coach you have to have mentors and people that you can lean on to teach you different things and be able to guide you along your path. And I gained some of my best mentors from my previous coaches and some of the coaches that I've met along the way since being here in Asia who are also foreign consultants.
Right.
So that's helped me a lot. And I was at I was at the #1 sports school in China, in Shanghai, that produced Liu Zhang, who was the former world record holder in the hurdle. So being around coaches of that nature and see how they do things.
Yeah.
They already have the sports school system, which the Philippines is talking about introducing. So being a part of that and seeing that firsthand and seeing what they want to do here, I think it's a good direction for them to go in for the future of not only athletics but sports in general.
Right. So basically you're saying that, of course, not just in Philippines, but all over in Asia, we do have the potential, and not just in Philippines, but in Asia in general, there's always the potential, right? Given the right system.
I mean, China has gotten it.
Oh,
Japan has
sure,
gotten
sure.
it in a short time, in the last 3 to 5 years. You've seen these teams become you know, elite level athletes. And a few years ago, you didn't have that. You had your onesies and twosies. Now they're on the map now. You know when you show up to an Asian championship, you show up to a world championship, you're gonna have an Asian level, elite level athlete in that final.
Sure. Well, first of all, the gold medal has been very elusive for Philippines, and we've been trying and trying, but it seems it's quite elusive. What do you think could have been done more, especially today in the system that we have for athletics and for track, and
I mean, I just think exposure is one thing that athletes need a lot more of in general. I mean, I've just noticed a lot of athletes have just been, how can I put it? Been sheltered. In the sport. You have to be a student of the sport in order to advance in the sport. And if only you know the things that happen in the Philippines, you only know sea-level game type things, how can you grow to be a world level athlete or an Olympic caliber athlete if you're stuck in only knowing what has happened in Southeast Asia?
Right.
So in general, the athletes need to grow in that aspect. The level of coaching education needs to grow.
Right.
It's not a knock on it, but it just needs to grow. And exposure of coaches to different practices and different things from different areas needs to grow. Economically, money makes the world go round. This is a great start to getting things off the ground, to have athletes that are able to develop and be those ones that have potential to get gold medals.
Yeah, right. Although one of the issues, of course, unfortunately and I'm saying that in coming from the Filipino perspective, is like some of the Filipino fans and casual Filipino fans would say, like, why are we relying on the Filipino American talents? Like, is that like our way of having a leg up in the competitions? Why can't we have elite level, quote unquote elite level, high level athletes coming from the quote unquote pure Filipino athletes? So what can you say about that, sir?
I mean, for me, I think it bothers me that they're pigeonholed as, Filipino, they're Filipino. Their parents are Filipino.
That's right.
They're Filipino.
Sure.
So, we win as one, we need to exist as one.
Sure.
And we need to call it what it is, So, it's just development, and I think people need to realize it's strange in the case of Christina. I don't think a lot of people understand she's been living in the Philippines for the last 2 years. She's been living like the athletes here. She's been training like the athletes here. She's been experiencing the culture, experiencing the food, experiencing the people, the ups and downs, the back and forth, and she has progressed. She's prevailed. She's done wonderful things. So there's no reason that the other athletes here shouldn't be able to do the same. They can't say that she had something that they didn't have. In some aspects, yes, but in general, she's experienced the same thing. She's taken the same journey, the same ups, downs, that everyone here has on the path to the SEA Games.
And instead of pulling her down, maybe look at her as an inspiration for the other generations of Filipinos, right?
Yes, I mean not only her, others.
Sure.
We have EJ Oriana who's gone through the same thing. He's just had the luxury of being able to train outside of the Philippines, and we got a taste of that as well.
Right.
I thank the PSC and POC for giving us the opportunity to go and train abroad this year. And you hear the comments, well, why'd you waste that money to go and send them abroad? Well, the money was spent to do what we did here, to have the showing that we had here, to break the records that we broke here, to chase the Olympic standard. So that's why you contribute things of that nature in order to see, your investment, the return on your investment. And I think that's the direction that they need to go in order to get more elite level athletes, period, in every sport.
Well, you also did mention though that some are questioning this, but as to the facilities, we can actually see here, right? The facility is pretty good. So maybe you can tell us more about NCC and how the facilities here in Athletic Stadium, for example, helped out with the training of our athletes.
I mean, the facilities are great. I mean, they're on lines with a lot of places that I've been. When I initially got here in 2017, I may have been here a month, and we went to Hong Kong Sports Institute for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
That paid off well because we got medals and broke records at 2017 SEA Games.
Right.
We get here and we're like, wow, we saw it come from the ground up. So bit by bit as it improved, we're like, okay, the game's here and it looks totally different from when we moved in here months ago.
Right.
So to see it come from the ground and come up, and then you're able to come in here and do outstanding things, it's just a blessing to have. So it needs to continue. It needs to be able to be sustained.
Right.
Not just, hey, we're doing this great event and then it turns into, the white elephant that sits in the middle of the field and does nothing.
And I honestly think that it will not, totally turn into a white elephant because, of course, you guys know as well that this area here will become a kind of like a sports high school for the new generation of Filipinos who wanted to compete internationally. So, do you think this is a good step? And tell me, what do you think are the other things that the government should do so that we can have elite athletes in the future?
I mean, I just think they don't need to take a hiatus in the procedure. They need to go off the momentum of what's happened here in these games.
Yeah.
Push forward what they need to push forward to get the things approved, to get the ground broken, to get the school going, to make sure that this is a plan and not just a talk about a plan. When you go off of those type of things and you build the excitement, people get behind it quicker. So while the momentum is there, you have to roll with it. Not say, 3 years down the line, we're going to build this high school. No, we had a great showing. Let's get the ground broken now. Let's start recruiting these kids. Let's start educating these coaches and start recruiting these coaches so that we can get it going, because in the next 4 years, there's another Olympics. So, this is the batch of kids that may have the potential to be that next Olympian.
Right. Coach Rohsaan, a few questions left before we end, this interview. We would like to know, though, what keeps you going? Like, what motivates you to do what you do today? It seems like you have passion and you really have it seemed that you really, truly, of course, sincerely cared for Philippine athletes. Why is that? And what's the motivation behind that?
I mean, I think, I believe in paying it forward. Someone did that with me. And so I feel like it's my duty to pass on the favor to someone else, so one day that they may be able to do that for someone else. So I'm passionate about it because I see the potential in it. I know the struggle because I've been there. I was a guy that said, because you're a great athlete, they won't make you a great coach. I feel the same way in some instances, but I'm like, no, I'm out to prove you different. So I see a lot of these athletes who have enormous potential, but they want to settle. And this is not the end-all be-all. Southeast Asia, it's the world. The world is out there. So when I came and told people, hey, I think Christina can do these things, what? They look at you crazy. No, I know she can do these things. Just give me time. They don't understand the short amount of time I've had her and where we've come. But it's always been a focus of mine from the ending of the Asian Games. When we started back practice in September of 2018, this was mapped out. Right. This was there, and we didn't vary from it, and that's why we've been successful. So you have to believe in the process. You have to believe that you can live outside and exist outside of Southeast Asia as an athlete.
There's a bigger stage.
There's a bigger stage.
Sure.
And so you can never get that elusive medal if you don't dream to live outside of that bubble.
All right. And final message, sir, to Filipino fans. Both were criticizing the government for what has happened for NCC, and also for those who have been supportive of the government. So, what's your message to Filipinos out there?
I mean, you just have to be patient. You have to be able to roll with the punches. You have to understand that this is an area that has not, they haven't trekked this area before. So you have to understand that there are going to be ups and downs and setbacks and developmental, mishaps and things of that nature. But the simple fact that they have it on their radar is more than some would ever have imagined. So I think you just have to be patient, but I think you also have to have an urgency and go with the momentum so that these things can get done and you can see the things that you wish for in a short amount of time if you get behind everything.
All right, thank you so much, sir. And that's all for our interview with our main man, coach consultant, Rohsaan Griffin. All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.